We have a shocking injury update as Patrick Williams is set to be out for tonight's game. We're also going to be talking about the key takeaways for tonight's game as the Chicago Bulls get set to take on the Milwaukee Bucks. This is your host, Rico Greenhowe, and you have found yourself on another episode of Bulls Digest. And so, look, the Chicago Bulls are on the road tonight against the Milwaukee Bucks. They have already beat the Milwaukee Bucks 133-122. And so, the good thing is the Chicago Bulls are on the road. They have done very well on the road. And the next thing I think that is just a major storyline around this game is that the Milwaukee Bucks are trying to get, I think, revenge on the Chicago Bulls. This is a national televised game. And so I expect for there to be some intensity on both sides in tonight's game. But before we jump into just the team comparisons and what to look for, let's look at the major news that has come out around this team. And that is the injury update around Patrick Williams. And so according to Will the GOAT Godlet, who is on CHGO podcast, he's saying that Patrick Williams, look, he's not only going to be out for tonight's game, but he is back in Chicago and he is getting some imaging done on his foot. And the team does not expect anything serious. And so, look, I think that this is very concerning. I had done a video going into the season that, I was wondering with the situation going on with Patrick Williams, could it be far worse than it was reported? There was that Darnell Mayberry report that said that he did have a setback before training camp. But then when Patrick Williams came to camp, he said that everything was fine. He had been playing the fives and things like that. And I was concerned because, look, you saw that Zach LaVine, he was coming back from his injury. You saw the videos leading up to the camp and everything, like he's playing, and same with Lonzo as well. We were seeing that, but we didn't really see any footage of Patrick Williams, and I thought that that was interesting. And, for what it's worth, look, Patrick Williams, I know we've been frustrated with him as Chicago Bulls fans, but he's actually been having it going as of late. Look, 5 out of his last 7 games, he was averaging 14 points a game. He also was averaging 5.2 rebounds a game, 3.6 assists, and 1.8 steals. And so this is prior to that Houston Rockets game. And so, look, he was getting it going. He was starting to find his way. I think he's starting to get more comfortable in this offense. And I think there's a lot being made about Patrick Williams and the missing of dunks. And I totally understand that. Look, right now, I think I saw the stat where he's 2 of 7 right now going into this particular game with missed dunks. And I dug a little bit deeper and looked at Elias Schuster's article on Bleacher Nation. And he has him at 148 makes out of 187 misses as far as dunks. And so that's less than 80%. And so I think that that's obviously inexcusable, but I think it comes down to Patrick Williams really just focusing and really trusting his athleticism. I think that when Patrick Williams trusts his athleticism and just goes out there and plays, I think a lot of great things happen for Patrick Williams. And that's what I was seeing over his spurt where he's playing well, because he was going to the basket. He was a lot more aggressive. He's not thinking about the game and really trusting that athleticism. And I think a key thing to bring up is this is something that was mentioned on the channel and it was in the comments about Patrick Williams being a better perimeter defender. And I think he absolutely can do that. And I think what that comes down to is, once again, just trusting your athleticism and knowing that you can stay in front of that defender. And so I think as Patrick Williams continues to trust that, I think that he's going to be fine. And this is huge news because you're looking at a player that you've invested 5 years into. And I clearly believe that the Chicago Bulls think he is going to be a key piece of their future. You get this news, and this is on the same foot that he had surgery on. And I'm concerned with that last part where it says the team does not expect anything serious. I think that they're downplaying this because they downplayed the Lonzo Ball injury. Here we are now. It's 2 to 6 weeks with that window with his potential return. But just going back to Patrick Williams, look, he played 43 games. He was dealing with some foot issues. They said that, it was nothing serious. It was going to be a 2-week window. Next thing you know, it's a month. And then after that, that's where he gets the surgery and he misses the rest of the season last season. And so very concerning because this team struggles defensively. And so one of your best defenders is having to look at a foot that he had to get surgery on. That is not a good sign for the Chicago Bulls. And hopefully this is not anything major for Patrick Williams, because I thought it was interesting that he popped up on the injury report going into that Detroit Pistons game out of nowhere. And so that is, like I said, very concerning. Hopefully Patrick Williams can come back from this. I think he's starting to find his way in this offense. And I hope that, he's just able to get back out sooner rather than later. And so with that being said, let's go ahead and push forward and look at the team comparisons. And so starting with the Milwaukee Bucks, clearly we don't have Patrick Williams tonight, which is going to lead to Julian Phillips being the starter, which we're going to talk about. It looks like he's projected to be the starter tonight. And in that last game against the Milwaukee Bucks, Patrick Williams played very well defensively against Giannis. Even though Giannis had 38 points, it was the timely stops that we got from Patrick Williams. And so we don't have that length out there. We won't have that physicality from Patrick Williams. And so I think that that is going to be something to watch out for tonight. I think that Milwaukee has a lot of length, which is going to challenge us. We don't have necessarily a lot of that. And then for the Chicago Bulls, I think that they have some opportunities tonight because the Milwaukee Bucks are not that great defensively. In fact, going into this thing, I think the Milwaukee Bucks are giving up about 37% to opponents shooting the three ball. So there's going to be some opportunities for the Chicago Bulls to knock down some three-point shots. And I think that that is going to open up a lot easier for the Chicago Bulls if they work inside out, which means you go into Vooch, you cut off him, you go ahead, you make sure you're getting to your correct spots, and then you're shot ready and you're able to knock down those shots. So I think that those are maybe some key things to look out for both teams as we look for tonight's game. And so next up, when we look at just the individual matchups and like some of the players that I'm looking forward to looking at. I just talked about Giannis, and I'm talking about, Giannis and what he possibly could do now that Patrick Williams is not there. But I want to see really the energy of the Milwaukee Bucks, because I think that they are just like a couple losses away from like trading everybody. I mean, because it sounds pretty terrible with what's going on out there defensively. I think that there was, a lot of expectations placed on this team, and then you hear like the noise around Giannis and possible trades and things like that. Like, I want to see what type of energy that they come with tonight. This is going to be a nationally televised game, and I think that this would really say a lot about maybe what the future is for the Milwaukee Bucks and the possibilities of them just going ahead and trading major pieces on this team. And so next up, with the Chicago Bulls, I think for us, it's going to be starting with Zach LaVine and Vooch. I think that is really, they were big storylines going into this season with all this just trade news and injuries and all this stuff like that. And both players have just come out and they've just gotten back to an all-star level. Like Zach LaVine, he's raising up on the Chicago Bulls scoring charts. And then you got Vooch. I talked about him just in yesterday's video, from 29% shooting the three-point shot to now 48%. I don't know if that continues this season, but look, the man is playing great basketball, and he's seriously playing inside out. That's what I love about this with Vooch. It's like we literally are getting a paint presence from him. So just to see them continue to raise their trade value. And for the people out there that didn't catch yesterday's video, both of these players have low usage rate. So it's not like they're getting in the way. We're just seriously a franchise that just doesn't have a direction, and we're trying to figure it out on a game-to-game basis. And so, look, I like that about them. They're playing for the team. They're not playing for themselves. And so I want to see just how they're going to impact us in tonight's game, because, look, if we do end up trading those players, we're going to need to learn from these guys and how you take care of business. And so I think that Zach LaVine and Vooch have done a great job of that. With Kobe White, he had a great game against the Milwaukee Bucks last time with 35 points out. Josh Giddey, he almost had a triple-double against the Detroit Pistons. Hopefully he can continue to build off that momentum. He did have 9 assists against the Milwaukee Bucks in this last game, and I certainly think that his playmaking ability is going to be needed tonight because I think that is what it's going to take to beat the Milwaukee Bucks, you're going to need to have that ball movement. You're going to need to have that player movement. So hopefully everybody's on the same page tonight. With Julian Phillips, look, we love Julian Phillips. We love the athleticism. We love the defense. And now we get a chance to see what it possibly could look like if he's in the starting lineup. And so we want to see from Julian Phillips now more production. I think that he is going to get some opportunities to certainly score the basketball on offense. And so I hope that he is aggressive there. He's going to have himself a challenge because at times he's going to be matched up with Giannis. And so I want to see his response there on the defensive end. And I want to see him put the ball on the deck and attack the rim and not just rely on the three-point shot, which it definitely has improved and he's definitely believing in it. But I want to see him continue to attack the rack, and hopefully we get another highlight from him tonight. And so, those are really some key players that I am looking forward to seeing. And that leads me to the last point, and this goes just as a team. And I think that this is going into really what this team is going to have to do long term, and that is buy into the youth movement. And that means that Modest Buzelis and Dalen Terry and some of these players on the bench are going to have to play tonight, especially since you do not have one of your main players out there in Patrick Williams. And so I would anticipate that we see more Modest Buzelis. If it is a blowout, I want to see some Modest Buzelis. If it's still a tight game, I want to see Modest Buzelis, because you cannot tell me that you're trying to build a team and you're not evaluating some of these younger players and you don't know what they can do with some of your pieces that you're building around. You have got to put him out there. It can't be a situation where he's just playing the G League, and it can't be a situation where he's just logging practice minutes. That's not good enough. You need to get him out there against some of these actual players. I want to see him guarding Giannis. I want to see him out there against Dame. I want to see his response, because this is a player that has shown his confidence, and I think that his confidence is growing. His offense is coming along. I'm seeing just the major improvements from Modest. We talked about him not being able to necessarily knock down the three-point shot, and that's been one of his best things on the court thus far. And so I would imagine that as you continue to play him against the physicality, I would expect him to start being able to take it to the basket, be aggressive there, and we need to see that out there, because I'm seeing around the league that other rookies are having some good impacts and they just needed to play, like Dalton Connect, right, for the Lakers. He's out there knocking down a ton of shots out there. And so, look, Modest Buzelis has to play. Dalen Terry is going to come out there and mix it up. And after that, yes, we're going to need some Jalen Smith tonight. We need to see more of that, because we don't have Patrick Williams. We need that physicality. We need some height out there. We need the length. So Patrick Williams is not there. You have got to play these players. It's going to force Billy Donovan to go deeper into his rotation tonight. And so let me know what your key takeaways are for tonight's game, what the Chicago Bulls should be focusing on. Are you shocked with this recent injury update around Patrick Williams? I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. I want to thank everybody out there for liking, sharing, and subscribing to the videos. It means a lot to us here at Bulls Digest as we try to reach 5,000 subscribers before the end of the season. Wanted to let you know about 75.5% of you that watch are not subscribed, so make sure that you go ahead and mash on that subscribe button. Look, even though the Chicago Bulls have a lot of questions, and it's about more than just tonight's game, I'm still saying go Bulls, and I'll see you on the post game. All right, peace.